What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a awful Hogwarts Legacy argument I've been seeing online. And let me be clear right now, this isn't even new. This has been happening, I would say, probably 2, 3, 4 weeks after the game came out. Saw a tweet, just kind of set me off. So I thought, well, why let this frustration build up within me? Why not just release it into the world in a video? Another thing to say is, while I'm going to defend Hogwarts Legacy here, I want to make it known, like, I'm not just blindly defending this game. I know I've made hundreds of videos on Hogwarts Legacy, but just to be clear, this isn't even my game of the year. This is not my favorite game. I actually did a video that'll go up in July ranking every game I've played this year. This game's actually 6th on my list, so this is not me closing my eyes and just picking a target to defend. This is because this is, I think, is a really dumb argument. So what we have is the player base decrease. That's the big thing here. And again, this tweet specifically kind of set me off, but the kind of quote of, this game, Hogwarts Legacy, is game of the year, and then showing the player count on Steam database, right, which shows about 13,000 people have been playing Hogwarts Legacy the last 24 hours concurrently, right? And you look at it, and yes, I mean, it is a big decrease from when the game was breaking records and all that stuff when it first came out. But I think the people that do these, look at how far the game has fallen, the people that do that, I think they forget that the game did break records, that the game was massively popular, that the game still right now I do think Zelda's going to beat it. See, that's another thing. Zelda will beat this game, but Hogwarts Legacy is still the #1 selling game of the entire year. And honestly, Starfield, Spider-Man, I really don't think Spider-Man can do it. Starfield's going to have a lot of things on Game Pass. Do you count that as sales? Zelda really is the one that's going to challenge Hogwarts. It's already kind of challenging Hogwarts, and I think, again, Zelda probably outsells it, but you have a game that was massively successful. Like, please, for the love of God, can we not forget that this game was massively successful? But what I think ticks me off so much more is this isn't even just an argument of, oh, look, the game maybe isn't successful. Oh, look, the game's player count is decreasing. That was one argument of, well, look how many people, over 500,000, right? And now look at it right now, 13,000. The player base has fallen off. Number one, that is such a stupid argument for the simple fact that this is a single-player game. Now, yes, there are people on planet Earth that have put, I think, hundreds of hours into this game. Does the average Joe put hundreds of hours into this game and play this game as if it's an MMO or as if it's a always online, an online service kind of game? Fortnite, Dead by Daylight, Rocket League, PUBG. Are people playing it like that? I think the answer is maybe like the 0.001% of people are playing this game like that, right? I don't want to throw it out because I'm sure you're going to have somebody that said, I put 500 hours in this game. I'm sure you did. But the vast majority of people did not do that. And here's the thing, that's fine. That's fine. You like The Witcher or Cyberpunk, or pick any big open world game. Do you see hundreds of thousands of people playing it months or years after? Well, if there's a DLC, if there's something to kind of keep the game alive, because the game's not really meant to do that, right? When you have can we think for a second? When we do a single player game that's got a life, it's got a length of time to do all the side quests, to do all the Merlin trials, which there's too many of them, to find all of the field guide pages, which there's too many of them, to do the story, to do the side content, there's a specific length of time. And unless you're going to repeat that dozens of times, yes, you're not going to be playing the game every day 4 months later. It's not meant to be that kind of game. So, number one, I've had enough with that, and I don't know why people start. Okay, here's the thing. No, I'm not going to play stupid. We know exactly why people have started it. We know because of that kind of, mark the target on Hogwarts Legacy's back that it's had for so long, obviously, right? I think that's what's gotten people, to be more aggressive towards it even after the game came out with this kind of stuff. They're still looking for the game to fail. The game did not fail, so all you really have is, the game kind of broke records with like Twitch viewership and people playing it concurrently. I mean, okay, it didn't break like every record, but it was like, games like this don't happen every day. Games like this don't even happen every year, right? So massively successful. These people lost, and then they say, well, what can we do? Well, we can show when people stop playing it. That'll get them. Well, no, not really, because Me, you know who I am. You know how many videos I've made. I stopped playing this game months ago. I haven't touched it in months. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel the need to go back into it. Does that mean that the game was awful? No, I did what I needed to do. It's also just how some people play games. Some people, shockingly, play a single player game, beat it, and then they don't play it again. Or they play it again a year later. Or they play it a few times, but that's kind of it. They don't play it every single day. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Then the idea that it's not game of the year. So this one, again, are they saying it because Hogwarts has a target on its back? Probably. But I do want to address that stupid comment because I think, okay, is it like dangerous? No, people can think whatever they want, and ultimately you can be a clown on the side, and I don't really care. It's not going to affect my life. But I do want to address the idea that, all right, well, by saying that, are you implying that the only way a game is a game of the year, that it is being played by more than 13,000 people every day for what, like a year? Like what are the parameters that make a game of the year, I guess, to this person? And this is a mind, I mean, people like this tweet. People, retweeted it and all that stuff. So people do, some people, very small minority, I think, but some people think like this. That's actually extremely sad to me. Number one, by the way, 13,000 people just on Steam playing it every day is still rather high. I don't know the stats. I don't care to look them up. That's probably in the top at least 50 on Steam. I'm going to guarantee that because I think like Dead by Daylight does maybe like 30 or 40,000. I think Rocket League does a little less. Like, a game that's rather successful, that's living every day, a multiplayer game, you could do 15, 20,000 people a day and still be going like years later if you have that number. So 13,000 is really not all that bad in the first place. But also, again, like, if it's not, you're making fun of the whole it's game of the year. Well, are you making fun of it because the game dropped off so many people? Like, is that it? Or is it that, what do you want? Does the game need to have 50,000 people playing it every day for 5 years? Does it need to survive like Dead by Daylight? Does that make it a game of the year? Now, look, Dead by Daylight actually means a lot to me, more than you may know, and there's a long story there that I'm not going to get into, but like, I don't consider that game one of the greatest games ever made. I consider that game important to my life because of what it did in certain ways, but I don't think it's like a masterpiece of gaming. And that game's rather successful. So like, it's success versus like being good quality, and those are all subjective. I think Dead by Daylight is a good game, and it's also successful. But like a Hi-Fi Rush, let's go to my favorite game. My favorite game of the year by a lot is Hi-Fi Rush. Okay, that game, very few people even played it when it came out, okay? Now, they say it's successful, and I hope it is. I really hope it is. Like, Xbox Chiefs and all that stuff will say it's successful. That's awesome. But I'm going to imagine that there's not 13,000 people playing that game. That game came out in January, so like 5 or so months after it came out. I'm going to guarantee you that 13,000 people are not playing that game daily. I'm going to guarantee you that game didn't get 13,000 people playing it daily a week after it came out, okay? I'm going to guarantee that because it didn't happen. That doesn't mean the game's bad. It's my game of the year. Now, you could not care what my game of the year is. Good. I implore people to not care what others think. But it's it actually hurts that some people, again, you don't know like why they said it, okay? Or why some people think that way. But like, what is successful? What is a game being good? Because like Dead Space, like I have a list. It's actually right over here, my list of like every game that I've played this year. If you go through like the top 5, who's playing Dead Space? Who's playing the Dead Space remake? Who's playing Uncharted 4? Who's playing some of the better Halo games? Think of the best games that came out, let's say 3, 4, 5 years ago. Are they still being played now? And if the answer is no, well, I guess they weren't good games because they're not successful. Now, yes, this is 4 months after, but it's the same thing. I mean, again, like look at one of my personal favorites, Uncharted 4. 4 months later, if the game had a massive like fallout of people like leaving it, would I consider that to mean the game is a failure? No, you would only do that if the game's a multiplayer game. Like, yeah, I do think that metric's important, just not for a single player game. Like if Crash Team Rumble, if I knew the player count, and then I knew the player count in a month from now, and there was like a 90% drop off, okay, that's a serious issue because the game is supposed to last long term. The whole idea is that it's only a multiplayer game. So of course you want people playing it because there's nothing else there if they're not. For Hogwarts, once you're done, you're done. You can play more. You don't have to, though, right? And the majority of people are not. And that's okay. That's 99% of single player games are like that. Okay, so I don't understand. I really don't get it. But like I said, I wanted to get it out there. I thought this would be fun. It's been a while since and I'm not going to say there's actually several people that have said this in the history of time. So I'm not going to say, who it is. Don't go after anybody. Leave them alone. Let's all just laugh together here. Let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.